When MMA first became legal, it became the job of state athletic commissions to regulate every event, requiring fighters to acquire licenses, undergo drug testing, and medical tests. One of the largest and most controversial commissions is the NSAC, the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The Nevada Commission is often looked down on, known mostly for their ridiculous rulings and absurd punishments. This is a list of some of the most controversial decisions handed down from the NSAC, making them some of the dumbest rulings from the Nevada Athletic Commission. If there's three things UFC fighter Nick Diaz loves most in life, it's fighting, talking trash, and smoking weed. Diaz has tested positive for marijuana on 3 separate occasions, once in 2007 after an impressive win over Takanori Gomi, another time after his decision loss to Carlos Condit at UFC 143, and a third time in 2015 after his loss to Anderson Silva.
He tested positive for the Gomi fight, and they said there was so much weed in his system when they tested him that he had to be high when he was fighting.
After his fight with Silva, Diaz was tested 3 times that night and tested negative for illegal substances on 2 of the tests, but somehow came back positive for marijuana on a 3rd test given to him post-fight. NSAC Commissioner Pat Lundvall initially suggested that Diaz be banned from MMA for life, but ultimately decided to suspend Diaz for 5 years for the positive marijuana test and fined him $165,000. Quick side note, Anderson Silva also tested positive after the fight, but for steroids and benzodiazepines, and was only given a 1-year suspension. Diaz was also barred from cornering his brother Nate during 2 of the biggest fights of his life at UFC 196 and 202. Diaz received a lot of support from fans, fighters, and even celebrities over the harsh suspension. Diaz and his lawyers appealed the decision and were able to negotiate a reduced sentence, going from a 5-year suspension to 18 months and a reduced fine of $100,000. Diaz entered into a payment program and plans to pay off the fine over time, and is required to pass 3 drug tests leading up to his next fight. The NSAC grossly overstepped its boundaries during Wanderlei Silva's drug test hearing in 2014. Wanderlei was set to fight Chael Sonnen at UFC 173, but the fight was canceled after both fighters failed a random drug test. Sonnen tests positive for 5 banned substances, including human growth hormone and EPO, making it the 3rd time he's failed a drug test. Sonnen, however, was given a relative slap on the wrist and suspended for 2 years with no fine. Wanderlei, however, didn't exactly fail his drug test, he just never took it. When an NSAC employee showed up at Silva's gym for a urine sample, Silva fled the scene, evading the drug test altogether.
I didn't see him anywhere. I went into the bathroom and looked around and didn't see him there. I looked around a little bit more and couldn't find where he went.
Instead of marking the test as an automatic failure and giving Silva the maximum sentence for a positive test, he was subject to the Nevada Commission's unreasonable punishment and banned for MMA for life and fined $70,000. The punishment surprised the MMA world. While Silva certainly should have been punished for avoiding the random drug test, a lifetime ban for a first offense seemed somewhat excessive. A Nevada district judge agreed, and the lifetime ban was overturned after an appeal. The judge demanded the NSAC to determine a realistic punishment for Silva, calling their initial ruling arbitrary and capricious. The commission then reduced Silva's lifetime ban to a 3-year suspension and dropped the $70,000 fine. Fighters are drug tested before every event, and if they test positive for banned substances before the fight, they are not allowed to compete, unless, of course, a ton of money is on the line. Most fighters are pulled from the fight if they test positive ahead of an event, but the Nevada State Athletic Commission has allowed fighters to still compete, even if they test positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Anderson Silva tested positive for steroids and other illegal drugs before his fight with Nick Diaz at UFC 183. Silva wasn't pulled from the fight, though, and the positive test results weren't publicly released until after the event aired. The inadvertent delay saved the UFC millions and also made a lot of money for the commission. Big-name fighters often have their test results delayed until after an event. Most recently was Brock Lesnar, who was granted a license to fight by the Nevada Commission for UFC 200. Lesnar tested positive for PEDs before the event, but the results were delayed and Lesnar was allowed to fight anyway. USADA and the UFC are mostly to blame for the incident, although the Nevada Commission sanctioned the fight without reviewing the test results ahead of time. Lesnar tested positive for clomiphene, an estrogen blocker commonly used after a cycle of steroids. Ahead of their fight at UFC 202, Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz got into a heated exchange at the pre-fight press conference. Upon entering the room, Diaz and his team began throwing bottles of water at McGregor. McGregor returned fire, hurling multiple beverages back at Diaz and his team. What seemed like a harmless incident to build hype and increase pay-per-view buys ended up having a significant impact on both fighters' wallets. The Nevada Attorney General's office recommended McGregor be fined $25,000 and serve 25 hours of community service for the H2O throwing incident. But Commissioner Pat Lundvall insisted McGregor be fined $150,000 and serve 50 hours of community service, stating that McGregor needs to be humbled.
Throwing a water bottle and you get fined $150,000 for a water bottle. That's crazy.
Diaz, on the other hand, whose team initiated the bottle throwing, was only fined $50,000. McGregor was also required to shoot an anti-bullying ad. In response to the fine, McGregor stated, "Good luck trying to get it," and "I don't see Nevada in my future." The governor opted not to reappoint Chairman Pat Lundvall for another term shortly after the McGregor ruling.
Not the Nevada Commission.
No. Nevada
Connor's the only
Commission
one
is
that-
power hungry. They just want
Oh,
to.
they're the same people that wanted to ban Nick Diaz for life. They banned Wanderlei Silva for life.
Yeah, they suck.
Think about these guys.
They suck.
Think about these tools.
They're
Think if that's your
tools.
job.
And a few honorable mentions. Kevin Burns won a fight via eye poke in 2008. His opponent, Anthony Johnson, appealed the decision, arguing that since eye pokes are illegal, Burns shouldn't be declared the winner via eye poke. The Nevada Commission, being retarded, denied the appeal. The Nevada Commission performed a drug test on John Jones a month prior to his fight with Daniel Cormier. Jones tested positive for cocaine, but was given no suspension and no fine, and the commission even apologized for testing Jones afterwards. During Anderson Silva's steroid hearing, the commission showed off their flair by adding a live soundtrack to the arbitration process.
Topic for me also.
And how long have you actually used it? We have a great DJ, by the way, today.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe